Hare Krishna, welcome to the Īśopaniṣad class. We will start with the
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Screen. Second. Sorry. Okay. Can you see the screen? Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Tivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, we will quickly recite the verses for Īśopaniṣad. Om Purnamadaha Purnamudachyate Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete.
The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete.
Because he is completely perfect.
And because he is completely perfect.
All emanations from him.
All emanations from him.
Such as this phenomenal world. Are perfectly equipped as complete wholes.
Are perfectly equipped as complete wholes.
Whatever is produced of the complete whole.
Whatever is produced of the complete whole
is also complete in itself.
Is also complete in itself.
Because he is the complete whole.
Because he is the complete whole.
So many complete units emanate from him.
Even though
so many complete units emanate from him,
he remains the complete balance.
He remains the complete balance.
Ishavashyam idam sarvam.
Ishavashyam idam sarvam.
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat.
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat.
Tena bhunjitha.
Tena bhunjitha.
Kasya svidhanam. Everything animate or inanimate.
Everything animate or inanimate.
Within the universe.
That is within the universe.
Is controlled and owned by the Lord.
Is controlled and owned by the Lord.
One should therefore accept only those things
One should therefore accept only those things
necessary for himself,
necessary for
which are set aside as his quota.
which are set aside as his quota.
And one should not accept other things,
And one should not accept other things,
knowing well to whom they belong.
knowing well they belong.
Great, very nice. So today my goal is, sorry if I'm appearing to be a little rushed, but my goal is to complete 2 verses, 7 and 8. So these are also highly practical verses and practice with the spiritual vision. So how to live our life with spiritual vision, that is the practical aspect. So in the last verse, verse number 6, so we are in the practical section of looking at everything as creation or as amsha of Bhagawan. This whole universe, and that is very appropriate, Isha Vashyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat, that everything that is animate or inanimate. So the whole Īśopaniṣad is based on this first verse. That is why the first verse is supposed to be memorized and we recite it every time. That this whole world is part and parcel, is owned and controlled by the Lord. So when we begin to see like that, Ma Grida Kasya Svidhanam, we should know that who this material universe really belongs to. So that is the topic of verse numbers 6, 7, 8, to see this whole universe with a spiritual vision. There is 2 times in verse number 6, 7, 8, 2 times. One in 6 we discussed last time, and today we will discuss in 7. The word anupashyati will come. So pashya means to see. Anupashyati means to see with spiritual eyes, with jnana chakshu, which means though you are seeing with material vision, but you are seeing with the jnana, with the understanding of what you are seeing. Just like if you bring an illiterate person and give him a scientific graph, not, sorry, kindly keep yourself muted. If you bring an illiterate person and you show him a scientific graph, he will just see a line going some up and down, up and down. But if you show it to a scientist who has the gyan, he will make full, or if you show ECG report, let us say to doctor, which is also like a graph, he will say you are having a heart attack, or your heart is good, or this or that. He can draw so many conclusions just by seeing a zigzag line because he has gyan. We don't have gyan, so it looks like a zigzag line. So that is in this material world, how to see like a with gyan chakshu, with spiritual vision. That is the topic of the verse. So I was going to, so please keep, let me, okay, this sharing back and forth is a little, let me share the, where did that go? Sharing. Okay. So again, it came here. So let me share the verses. Śrī Īśopaniṣad, but please keep Īśopaniṣad with you, in front of you, though I'm sharing. So 7th verse. So I'm going to recite, kindly be on mute. And please tolerate me. Today I'm just going to go a little like, you know, and if you have questions, please raise your hands or shout out here in the room. Today we are very fortunate to be here in Ashutosh Prabhu, Shilpa Mataji, Asha's house. Thank you so much for organizing this, opening your house for Krishna Katha. Thank you very much. So please raise your hands here in the room or online and post your question on the chat if possible, or just raise your hand. This font is very small on my laptop. So raise your hand and ask the questions if you have. So text number 7. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva abhut vijanatah tatra ko moha ka shoka ekatvam anupashyatah. So you can see again the word anupashyataha comes. How to see with spiritual vision, anupashyataha. So let us see get the understanding. Yasmin sarvani bhutani. So sarvani bhutani means all living entities. Yasmin means over here. In this material world, we see all these living entities. Atmaiva abhut vijanataha. So vijanataha means to know. Janataha, janta hai. So, to know, one who knows what? That these are Atma eva. Again, eva here, Srila Prabhupada translates as only. Very interesting. Atma eva abhut. So, which means that they are abhuta, these bhutas, these sarvani bhutani are Atma eva. They are basically spiritual living entities. The body is just a material covering on top of the spirit soul. So when one is able to see it with this knowledge, vijanataha, with this knowledge, then what happens? What is the result of that? Tatra means then, at that time, ko moha. There is no moha. Moha means what? Moha doesn't mean love. Moha, the Sanskrit word moha means illusion. Ko moha, there is no moha, there is no illusion. Ka shoka. Shoka we know. Ashok. Ashok means there was King Ashok, right? Which means who is always happy or never unhappy. Shoka means unhappiness or lamentation, anxiety, all those things. So ka moha, ko moha, ka shoka. So shoka comes from moha. First there is illusion. Because we see with a, I'm going to mute someone. Okay. First there is illusion or a what we call as material vision. And because of material vision, there is shoka, there is lamentation. That is called ekatvam anupashyataha. That means seeing in oneness, ekatvam. So this word ekatvam is very, very important. But one who sees, the meaning is, what is ekatvam? Atmaiva. That everybody is that spiritual living entity. That is the ekatvam. So the ekatvam means that their quality is spiritual. So a very important aspect of this verse is on the oneness of vision. Ekatvam anupashyataha. How to see with a vision of oneness, that is the spiritual vision. Now, today's class will be a little bit focused on the personalist versus impersonalist understanding. Because this word ekatvam is very, very misunderstood. And it can be interpreted in several different ways. Ekatvam means eka, one. Eka means one. Ek, do, teen, char. 1, 2, 3, 4. So eka means one. So ekatvam means oneness. So oneness of what? So that is going to be the focus of the discussion. So Srila Prabhupada's translation is, one who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks, Atmaiva. In quality one with the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada is adding the word quality. So oneness is in quality. Okay. And this is proven otherwise, so many places that we will discuss, becomes a true knower of things, vijanataha or anupashyataha, becomes a true knower of things. What then can be the illusion, moha, or anxiety, shoka for him? All right. So we will go back to the slides. Okay. Mantra 7. So mantra 7. So we will just, I thought we will just go through the points. I will just keep this slide on for benefit of everyone, but we will discuss it in sequence, all the points, also integrating points that Srila Prabhupada is bringing up in his purports, instead of covering the purport toward the end. So our spiritual identity, this verse, the main focus of this verse, as Srila Prabhupada is also bringing out, is that our spiritual identity is that we are amsha, we are part and parcel of Bhagawan. Okay, that is Atma Eva. And that is how we should see everyone, not as man and woman, American, Indian, black, white, rich, poor, not with any of those bodily designations, but as spiritual living entities, as parts and parcel of Bhagawan. But then another point is that, so first of all, that is the oneness of Sarva Bhutanam, of the living entities that we see here. Even the cats and dogs also, not just Americans, Indian, humans, even snakes and fish and trees, all of them are Sarva Bhutani. Then the second one is, between us and Bhagwan, are we also one? That is going to be the main focus. The previous one is a much well understood concept, so we won't spend much time on that. And in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagawan Krishna starts with that in chapter 2, that we are all spiritual living entities. So the bigger focus of today's discussion, as Srila Prabhupada is trying to bring out, is going to be, are we one with Bhagawan? And the answer to that is yes, we are one. Answer is yes and no. We are one in quality, but very minute in quantity. And usually the three examples that are given are that of a drop of water from the ocean. Qualitatively, and Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport as well, qualitatively, the chemical properties are exactly the same as the ocean, but the quantity is just infinitely different. Similarly, a spark of fire versus forest fire. We have seen in Oregon, California, how much forest fire can burn. But it starts with a small spark, just a small spark. And so the quality is the same. A small spark can burn a whole forest, and the whole forest can burn houses and everything else. So qualitatively one, and the third example is given of a particle of gold and a gold mine. So so that is our situation. We are one in quality, spiritual. Bhagavan is also fully spiritual, but vastly different in quantity. Okay. So the oneness is in quality and also in purpose. And what is the purpose? Which we will cover also, but the essence is, the purpose is to enjoy in each other's company. That is the purpose. Bhagavan wants to have enjoyment, not alone, but with us. And we also want to enjoy, but we are trying to enjoy in the wrong platform. We think that in this material world, there is enjoyment, but the real enjoyment is with Bhagavan. So there is oneness of purpose as well. The spiritual and living entity, whether it is Bhagavan, is a fully spiritual living entity, vastly big in quantity, but his purpose is also to derive pleasure in our company. And our real pleasure is to be in his company. But we think we can derive pleasure over here. That's what gives rise to, that is the biggest illusion. We think we can enjoy here. And that gives to all kind of suffering. Ko shoka, ko moha, ko shoka. So that is the essence of today's discussion. Now, for those who are devotees of Srila Prabhupada, or those who are devotees of Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, they also, there's another definition that Srila Prabhupada brings out very nicely, is oneness of purpose. For the devotees is to see every other living entity as a potential devotee. So that is also oneness of purpose, to go and spread this message to everybody, not just for yourself, but to everyone. So these are some of the points that we will bring out in this discussion. So that is the sort of the essence of the first paragraph. Meaning of oneness, Prabhupada is describing qualitatively one with God, but quantitatively vastly different. Then the second one is Srila Prabhupada brings out this point that if living entity, so what is the meaning of oneness? So let us say for a second that we are one in all respects. All respects means what? Quality and quantity, both. Let us say. So we'll have a logical discussion, a discussion on logic a little bit. Please pay careful attention. This is a little bit for the Gyanis, or for those who are, little bit intellectuals will find this interesting. So if the living entity is equal in quantity and quality, then the question comes, okay, at some point you are equal in both quantity and quality, but there is suffering. Every living entity will realize there is suffering, right? You didn't get a promotion, you got laid off, we get what so many sufferings are there, fights, this, that, all those things. So the question is, yes, I am God, I am the same as God, but right now I don't experience that, isn't it? So what causes me to not experience myself as God? That is the question. Then the answer is Maya. That's the usual answer. Then if I was God and Maya is preventing me from experiencing myself as God, but I am actually God, so who is bigger, Maya or God? Maya, isn't it? I am God, but what is preventing me to experience myself as God? God should be able to experience himself. So what is Maya making unable the God to do? Experience himself as God. So Maya has power over God. Maya can control what God can experience, what he cannot. That logic fails. You see, God means he has to be at the top of the hierarchy. Otherwise, we should pray to Maya, not to God. So that is one problem with logic, of that one. Another problem from the bhakti standpoint is that if we are same as God, then bhakti has no relevance. Who has to do whose bhakti? Both are equal, right? Bhakti has to be done by someone who is lower towards someone who is higher. If both are equal, then who is doing whose bhakti? Who should do whose bhakti? Bhagwan should do our bhakti, or we should do Bhagwan's bhakti? So bhakti in general, the topic itself becomes irrelevant. Okay. So bhakti is gone. Okay. Then comes Shastra. So now here, you cannot say, by the way, that Shastra is coming from God. So you can say, I can experience myself to be God. I am God, but I am unable to experience. That is the assertion, right? So I am unable to experience. So Shastra will make me, by the Shastra Jnana, I will experience myself as God. Now, either you can say Shastra is coming from God, then it has been resolved that you are taking shelter of Shastra, which is coming from God. So you are taking shelter of God to realize whoever you are. So God is anyway higher. So that logic also doesn't work. You are surrendering, you are acceding to the fact that God is higher. So then Shastra, let's say, is independent. Then through Shastra, you can realize I am God. So Shastra is telling you who is God, who is not. So again, Shastra becomes bigger than God. So that logic fails. Right? Or you have to say Shastra is coming from God, which is the right thing. So we take shelter of Shastra. But in this logic, you cannot say that. So same way, Guru is also becomes irrelevant. Whatever Guru says, Guru can be the just walking Shastra. He is the personified Shastra. So Bhakti is irrelevant. Shastra is irrelevant. Guru is irrelevant. Like this, you can discuss and everything becomes irrelevant. Then how do you experience yourself as God? There is one answer, and that answer is what is called as nirvisheshvaad. Nirvisheshvaad means focusing on nothingness. Shunyavad. Focusing on nothing. And there are jnanis, or there are people who focus on that, and then Bhagawan says in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanamante, after many lifetimes, finally they realize that focusing on nothingness, that nothingness or whatever that may be, is ultimately coming from Krishna. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti. And such a person is extremely rare. And in our Bhagavad Gita classes, we have discussed this. in detail that you start climbing the staircase. You have to reach the 100th floor. It is such a long process. Yes, if you reach the top floor, you are a very rare person. You chose not to take the elevator, which is bhakti. Bhakti route is elevator route. So if you showed up on the 100th floor, success, you must be a very rare person. Many people give up on the 10th floor or 15th floor, 20th floor. Okay, that is why Srila Prabhupada in his pranam mantra, it is said, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshataranye. This concept of nirvisheshvaad and shunyavad is very prevalent. And bhakti is what Srila Prabhupada preached. And that is what is the elevator route or the fast route. So that is the understanding of, or so that is the problem in this. So there's a logical discussion of I am God. I'm just unable to experience it. It can be defeated. That argument can be defeated through multiple points. Yes, Prabhuji, you had a question.
I can break the end.
No, go ahead.
I am ignorant, Prabhu, in this aspect, so just wanted to ask you your thought. Advaita philosophy, which is propagated by Shankaracharya, he also, to some extent, he wrote about bhakti, but then where did he deviate from that movement? Like Bhakti Govinda he wrote, and there are other works of Shankaracharya that talks about bhakti, but then his philosophy, what he spoke about, is different from what his works are.
So the question, I don't know if it came across on the online. Prasad Prabhuji is asking that about the writings of Sri Adishankaracharya and the Advaita philosophy that he has mentioned, but he has also written Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudhamate. So you should worship Lord Govinda, but Govinda is a person. And but his philosophy has also been Advaita. Advaita means that so there are various. Advaita means we and God are one. So Advaita is correct, but in quality. That is what we understand. They may say that we are one in quality and quantity, or we are one with God, or we merge in God, or one day we will become God. So I'll just give a brief understanding on that. I'm not very deep expert on Advaita philosophy, but even the Advaitavadis need a little bit of bhakti to make spiritual progress. For making spiritual progress, some element of bhakti is absolutely necessary. You cannot make spiritual progress. You will come to the very highest levels of becoming a jnani, but without bhakti, there cannot be, one cannot pierce the covering of this material world at all. One will remain in the material world. So bhakti was definitely included in his teachings. The biggest problem, now I don't know if Shankaracharya propagated this. It is also said that his followers ignored some of his teachings and magnified his other teachings. The biggest problem with bhakti is that you have to agree that I am lower, which is a little bit of a dent on one's ego. In this philosophy of I am God or I can become God, it is just like, you don't, for example, have a ego problem with your professor. He today knows more than you if you are a student, but you have enrolled in the university. He was like me once. If I work hard, if I do my job, I can become like him or I can become better than him. With that understanding, you are going on the journey. But in case of Bhagawan, there is no such possibility. Even in the spiritual world, we will remain his Jivera Swarupa Hoye Krishnera Nitya Das. Nitya means always, whether in the material world, or we will never become God even when we get moksha. That is a little bit humbling for people, or for those for whom this aspect is humbling. they are very easy to take to that. But ultimately, after many, many lifetimes, they will realize that this is such a nobody can reach the 100th floor through the staircase. The actual analogy should be at the 99th floor, they will realize that the staircase finishes. Then they have to take the elevator to go to the last level. There is no access, like they say, no roof access at some point. You cannot go there except by the elevator, which is bhakti. So some bhakti is absolutely necessary. That's to the extent I can answer. Okay, so we will move forward. So the purpose, so we discussed about the oneness in quality. Now the oneness of purpose. What is the oneness of purpose? Is that living entity is meant to eternally enjoy. That is the purpose. But we are seeking for enjoyment separate from God. And that is why we are here in the material world. We are trying to seek that enjoyment. And we do get some enjoyment. You all will agree that there is enjoyment, but it is not, it is also mixed with lamentation, with suffering. One cannot be completely happy and get the highest happiness all the time. Okay. Every time we see that the other person is happier, even in this material world. So grass is always greener on the other side. So we are seeking for happiness on the wrong platform. If we change our platform to put God in the center, then and we seek for happiness or seek for enjoyment with him in his company, then we can fully enjoy permanently. So that is the essence of the third paragraph. And here there is the concept of bhokta and bhogya. Bhokta means the enjoyer and bhogya means the one who is enjoyed. Okay. So in Bhagavad Gita, two places, Lord Krishna says in 5.29, he says, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram. Suhridam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim rachyati. So he says, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam. I am the enjoyer, bhokta, of all the yagya and tapasa. In 9.24, 9th chapter, 24th verse, he again says the same thing. Aham hi sarva yagyanam bhokta cha prabhur evacha. That of all the yagya and tapasa, aham hi sarva yagyanam. Yagya means all our sacrifices, whatever we do. It doesn't just mean putting into the fire. All kind of yagya that we do. He says, bhokta aham hi. I am the only bhokta cha prabhur evacha. I am the enjoyer. So the problem is we want to become the bhokta. We are not okay if he is the bhokta. Even though he's saying in Bhagavad Gita that I am the bhokta, you should consider me to be the bhokta. We want to be the bhokta. So then we suffer. Okay, then the question can be, why do we suffer? But is it a wrong thing to be a bhokta? The problem is we are seeking to be bhokta on the wrong platform. That is what is the point. The problem is in the platform, because here everybody is trying to be a bhokta. So there is a supply demand issue. Can you see? Everybody is a bhokta, then who is the bhogya? So everybody is trying to enjoy. They are trying to maximize their enjoyment. So then we can say, okay, we are all bhoktas and Bhagawan is the bhogya. Let him serve us. He is our order supplier. That would be the answer, because nobody else would be ready to serve us. Who will be ready? Temporarily, yes. The employee may serve the boss or something, but ultimately in his mind, he is thinking, if I do some buttering, then I will get something in return. Ultimately, I am the bhokta in all relationships. So ultimately, the only one person remains to be the bhogya, which is Bhagawan. Okay, you supply my orders. What is the problem in that logic? The problem in that logic is that he is already supplying so many orders. Look at your life. What all are we entitled to? Very less. So we don't want to get into a deep tangent on that. But we realize that we are already getting a lot of resources, a lot of things from Bhagwan. The problem is that on this material platform, due to our greed, we will never be satisfied. How much ever he keeps supplying, even the richest person on the planet feels that there is more to be obtained. We always see somebody else who has more. In some respect, one may have a $100 billion bank account. He will see, oh, I'm not the king, I'm not the president, I don't have so many followers. There can be so many, or whatever may be the situation. So the real and full satisfaction will only come in company of God. Otherwise, there will always be some deficiency or the other. That is the problem with the platform itself, the material platform, where we are trying to seek to be a bhokta. And how much ever Bhagawan gives as the bhogya, even if we reverse the roles, though that is not the correct understanding, still he is as a loving father giving. We are never going to say, now I am fully happy, I don't need anything more. That situation will never arise for somebody who is materialistic. Okay, so in the next paragraph, that is what is the point being brought out, that this is like a godless civilization, and enjoying without God, it leads to lamentation, shoka, and moha. If we bring God in all our activities, then there is no shoka. There is no illusion, first of all, and then there is no shoka. The illusion, what is the illusion that is not there? That it is somebody else's duty to make me happy. I am the bhokta. We begin to realize that it is my duty to serve the Lord, to love the Lord, and in that, there is no problem. There is no interference. Nobody can interfere with our relationship with God. Moreover, everybody can together serve the Lord. And in that togetherness of serving the Lord, there can be mutual cooperation, happiness, and fulfillment. Just like in a family, if there is a television, and or just let us say that, oh, so you want to go on a vacation. So let's say husband wants to go here, wife wants to go there. Then there is a fight. We should go here or there or here or there. Wife says, I want to go to my parents' place. Husband says, no, I want to spend time in my parents' place. Finally, the child comes and says, no, I want to go here. Now, because the parents love the child very much, they say, okay, we'll do what you are saying. Problem solved. In the same way, if we put Bhagawan in the center of our life, then all the conflicts get resolved. And everybody's interests and purpose is aligned with Bhagawan. And then in the family situation like that, if we expand that family situation to the whole universe, then everybody's interests will be aligned, and then everybody will experience full joy, full happiness, full satisfaction. So that is the point. So when Bhagawan is happy, naturally we will all be happy, and that is full happiness in his company. Bhagawan is Akhila Rasamrita Murti. Akhila Rasamrita Murti means that he can enjoy with every single one of us, whatever in various different rasas. For example, when Bhagawan Krishna was having rasa dance with all the gopis, every gopi felt Bhagawan is only with me. That is what he can do. Today, if you have a television in your house, the television can only serve the needs of one person. You can only watch one channel. Somebody wants to watch World Cup, somebody wants to watch the news. You cannot have both. But Bhagawan is such that if one gopi wants to dance in Bharatnatyam style, one gopi wants to dance in Kuchipudi style, Bhagawan can do both simultaneously. So Bhagawan can interact with our loving, in our loving way. He can reciprocate simultaneously, but material things cannot. And then we are all satisfied. So everybody can love and serve Krishna without interfering with each other's service. That is not possible when we try to do or obtain our own objectives in this material life. Okay. Yeah, so we have covered all the points in this verse number 7. All right, so let's look at the verse once again.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Mataji.
can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
So Prabhuji, you mentioned that, in this world, we all are trying to be enjoyer, but, and that's what the problem is. And nobody wants to serve us, but, and that's what the origin of the issue is. But even in Goloka, we would be serving, right? It's not that it's just the materialistic world, but everywhere we are servants forever.
Yes, Krishnera, Nityera Krishnadas. So, yes, we are serving, but we are deriving enjoyment out of that service. There is happiness in that service. Ultimately, we are serving everywhere. We are serving. Here in America, I'll just give a small example. People fight with their husband-wives fight, and then they divorce. And then they keep a pet because they are alone. And then what do? Morning and night, evening, twice a day, they will serve the pet, take him out for a walk, pick up his poop, clean him, do this, do that, all those things. Go shopping to find a good, nice cushion for him, this, that, so much. So ultimately, there is, but if we serve Bhagwan, and in that kind of service, if you're serving a pet or you're serving anybody material at a material level, there is no permanent happiness. There may be temporary happiness and limited. There is no full happiness or extreme happiness forever. That can only happen in service of Krishna. So yes, there is service, but there is so much enjoyment in that service. Just like always a good example is to think about in a parent-child relationship. A mother has no problem in serving her child, but it is very difficult for her to serve the neighbor's child unless she is paid to do that. It's called a nanny. So does that make sense that there is so much enjoyment in service if there is extreme love for the person you are serving?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So we are thinking, oh, there is also service, here is also service. Har jagah service, so much service, service. That is because we are thinking of Bhagwan as somebody whom we don't have that extreme amount of love. And service, there is the tinge of being burdensome. Okay. Anything else? It is very, very hard to understand this level of service, because even in the material world, we don't love anybody so deeply and so selflessly. The only person that we love deeply and selflessly, and the selflessly word is an oxymoron here, is ourselves. And we go to great lengths to serve ourselves, to make ourselves happy. So for those who serve somebody else or who love somebody else more than their own self, then there is no problem in that service. There is joy in that service. Example would be like Hanumanji. He would only want to serve Lord Ram. Another example that is kind of comes close is, those extreme, what we call as Desh Bhakta. What is the English word for that? Patriots, true patriots. They love their nation so much that they are willing to give up their life happily, not begrudgingly. Happily, they would give their life. So there is something to be said about serving someone whom you have a lot of love and reverence for. So these are the examples how we can at least get an imagination that there is joy in service. It is not burdensome. I hope that helps. Okay. So that was the discussion on that topic. So we will go to the 8th verse now. And I will try to share that. So this was the 7th verse. Then the 8th verse. So again, I'm sorry, I don't know all the meters for these verses. Someday, maybe I will learn it. So I will just try to say it without meter. Saparyagat shukram akayam avranam asnaviram shuddham apapavidham kavir manishi paribhu swayambhu yatha tat yatho arthan vyadhat shashvatibhyah samabhyah. So let us go to the word by word understanding of this. That such a person who understands that everybody from the 7th verse continuing is a part and parcel of Bhagawan, such a person who he knows the Lord, that Supreme Lord, in this verse, 10 qualities of Bhagawan are being described. And these qualities, 10 qualities, are present in living entities, by the way, in minute quantity. In Bhagawan, they are present fully. In us, they are present in minute quantity. So there are 10 qualities that are mentioned here. So, saparyagat means one must know that Bhagavan is Shukram. This is the most important. Shukram means he is omnipotent or all capable. Nothing is impossible for Bhagavan. He can do anything. So that is Shukram. Akayam. Now this is another place where impersonalists kind of think. Akaya. Kaya means what? Body. Akayam, he does not have a body. The answer is that he does not have a body like ours. He does not have a material body. He has a body, but it is not material. And there is going to be another word here. Asnaviram means without veins. Now, if it has been said that he has no body, why should you say without veins? If I can tell you, you don't have a car and you don't have wheels, what is the point? You don't have a car, you don't have a car. What's the point to, But it means to say, I could also mean you have a car without wheels. I don't know what that car might be, but whatever. So here it means that akayam is, the actual word is no body. He's unembodied, or he does not have a body, but the understanding is that he does not have a material body like ours. We have veins, we have blood. His body does not. So that word will come. Avrinam, which means that he is faultless. Nothing that Bhagavan can do is faulty. So we see so many faults in Bhagavan. Why did he tell Yudhishthir to tell lies? Why did he do this? Why did he do that? So many, and everything has a very clear spiritual answer. We won't go into all those anomalies. In so many classes, somewhere or the other, we have discussed so many such points. So the Bhagavan is faultless, which means he does not do anything wrong. But we may not be able to understand out of our material vision that we may criticize even Bhagavan. That is our nature. We criticize everybody, including Bhagavan. So we find fault in everyone. But if we care to understand, we will realize that Bhagavan is faultless. He is actually doing the right thing. And we have discussed so many examples so many times. Then comes Asna Viram, means he does not have veins, which means he has he doesn't have a body which is the vein type body, the body that comes with veins. Then he is Shuddham. Shuddham means he is pure. Apapavidham. Apapavidham means that he is purifying. Not only he is pure, but when somebody or something comes in contact with him, that also becomes pure. Like touchstone. Whatever it touches becomes gold. Okay, so like that. Not only he is pure, he is purifying. Apapavidham. Kavir manishi paribhu swayambhu. So Kavim means he is omniscient. He knows everything, knows and sees everything. Manishi means he's very intelligent. Paribhu means he is the greatest. And Swayambhu means he's self-sufficient. He doesn't need any, he's not dependent on anyone. The example Srila Prabhupada gives here very nicely is he lifted the Govardhan hill just on his own. He did not go and take a bodybuilding course or do anything like that. He is completely self-sufficient. And finally, the point is, yatha tathyato arthan vyadhat shashvatibhyah samabhyah. So shashvat means from ever, forever. Ashashvat means temporary, right? We say dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This material word is so temporary. Shashvat means permanent. So, which means from time immemorial, he has been yatha tathyato. He has been giving us arthan, has been giving us benefits, has been reciprocating with us. From such a long time, he has been giving us all the resources for us. So he is being our bhogya. He is enabling us, even in the material world, to lead our proper life. And this point is a very strong point in Īśopaniṣad itself, that Bhagawan is personal. How can an impersonal entity reciprocate? This last line is a line of reciprocation. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. As one surrenders, this is Bhagavad Gita 4.11, that as one surrenders, I reciprocate with him accordingly. So the same thing, yatha tathyato arthan, that according to one's reciprocation with me, I reciprocate. Or according to one's reciprocation with my laws of karma, your guna, karma, you get certain benefits. Or you go to higher planets, you go to lower planets, according to yours. I have been providing all this. This is a statement on personal Bhagawan, because he is judging. He is looking, what have you done? What have you done? So Bhagawan is personal. So these are the points of this verse. Let us go to, so there is a verse in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad which says, Na tasya pratima asti. That na tasya pratima asti means that there is no one way to translate pratima, we think is image. That you have no image. People take it to, the impersonalists take it to mean that Bhagavan has no form. He is formless. But the real meaning of the Sanskrit word pratima is not image. It means resemblance, likeness. So it is not that Bhagavan has no image. Bhagavan has no resemblance anywhere else. He is so unique. He is the greatest. That how can there be a resemblance of him? Any resemblance of him will fall short. I was listening to one class on this topic by Chaitanya Prabhu, and he mentioned this point that in one of the writings of Srila Rupa Goswami, he describes a poet. Rupa Goswami himself is a great scholar, poet, everything. But he is describing the situation of another poet who gave a very nice description of Bhagavan Krishna. Okay. And when Bhagavan Krishna appeared in front of him, he tore up his writing. Because he thought this is an insult. What he had imagined Bhagavan Krishna to be was so small, it appeared to him like he is describing the emperor as if he is some head of a village. When he actually saw Bhagavan. Which means that our imagination, our words are completely insufficient to even imagine, to even write down or speak how great Bhagavan is. Then how can we create an image of him? We cannot even create an imagination of him, even in our words or even in our mind. We cannot. That is how Bhagavan is. And that is what it means by that he has no image. Na tasya pratima asti means that we cannot, we are unable to. It means not that he doesn't have, and he doesn't have a material image. He has a spiritual body, not a material body. So the main point of this verse is that there are two main points. One is that he has 10 spiritual qualities as mentioned in this verse. They are all spiritual qualities. Second point is he has been reciprocating with us from time immemorial. So Srila Prabhupada's translation is, such a person who sees with that spiritual vision, if you see ekatvam anupashyataha, that one, such a person must factually know the greatest of all, the personality of Godhead, who is unembodied, omniscient, beyond reproach, means he is faultless. Reproach means you cannot accuse him of committing some fault. So he is beyond faults. Without veins, that is asnaviram, pure and uncontaminated, which is shuddham and apapa vidhyam. The self-sufficient philosopher, he is self-sufficient, means that swayambhu, and philosopher means very intelligent, which is manishi, who has been fulfilling everyone's desire since time immemorial. Okay, so all these points are being mentioned in this verse. So let us see some more details now. So this is mantra 8 has 8 paragraphs. We will quickly go through some of the main points. Okay, so the first point is Bhagawan is not formless. Akayam doesn't mean that he has no kaya, no body. It means that he has no material body. His body is spiritual. Okay, and there is no difference between the Lord's body, mind, and soul. That is Shukram. Omnipotent. He is all capable. Powerful is kind of, to me at least, the word all capable sound resonates better. He is capable of doing anything. And this comes in very nicely in the second para, which Srila Prabhupada says, God can perform all his actions with all parts of his body. Now, one important thing that we, or not important, but one popular thing we say is we offer bhoga to Bhagwan. But we don't see him eating with his mouth. But he eats with his eyes. He can eat with his eyes. He can perform all the functions of all body parts using any other body part. There is this beautiful verse in Brahma Samhita, which Srila Prabhupada has also quoted in the purport. Angani yasya sakalendriya vritti manti pashyanti panthi kalayanti chiram jaganti. So angani, anga. So Brahma Samhita is using the word anga. Now, can there be an anga without a body? There has to be a body, then you have some anga, right? So Bhagwan has anga. But the verse is saying angani yasya, whose anga, and I will come to sakalendriya later, vritti manti. So his anga can, vritti manti means do the functions of sakalendriya indriya, all other indriyas. So any indriya, any of his part of the body can do the function of any other part of his body. Srila Prabhupada mentions this. He can see with his hands and feet, eat with his eyes, and he gives many other examples. Sounds weird a little bit, but that is Bhagawan. So many aspects we cannot imagine about Bhagawan till we read the scriptures. So it is not that he does not have a body. Okay, that is very, very important point. This whole asnaviram, without veins, is an emphasis on that. Otherwise, Īśopaniṣad could have stopped at akayam. Why mention no car and no wheels? Okay, fine, no car is enough. So why asnaviram? So that is an, Upanishads also need some little intelligence. Bhakti texts like Bhagavad Purana, pretty straightforward, easy. But Upanishads and more so Vedanta Sutras, they're very much, for the Jnanis to churn. Another point in this verse that I forgot to mention, I think it's somewhere there in my notes, but if you see the verse, there are a lot of negatives in this verse. Akayam, no body. Avrinam means he cannot be, you cannot find fault with him. So no, there is a not. Asnaviram, no veins. Apapa vidhim, no papa. There's a lot of negatives in this. There could have been the positive side of the words. I'm sure, I'm sure, I know Sanskrit is a very rich language. The negatives have been used again because Upanishads are a transitionary text from materialism to Shuddha Bhakti. It's a transition for materialists who are hardcore materialists. For them, they have a lot of learning about material world. And the best way first to them to teach them is to do unlearning. Like, when music teacher, two students went, one said, I don't know anything. Please teach me. He said $20 for you per hour. Another person said, I know all this music, jazz and this and that, wanted to learn some other music. So he said $40 for you. He said, wait, I already know something. You don't have to put that much effort. That person didn't know anything. You gave 20 rate. To me, you are giving higher rate. He said, because I have to put more work to make you unlearn. Just a joke or whatever, some anecdote. But the point is that Upanishads are first priority of the Upanishad is to make us understand that this material learning or this material conditioning that we have needs to be scrubbed off. That is the purpose. When that becomes cleaned, then we can transition to, but we can directly transition to bhakti. There is no need for this. But that is the way Upanishads are written. Because directly if you tell them bhakti of Bhagawan, they will not understand, many people. So you have to first tell them about these transitionary texts are more palatable to such people. It is not that they are a necessary next or intermediate step. They are not. For those who are favorable, who can accept bhakti, can directly take bhakti. But for those who are unable to consider these higher topics that Bhagawan is a person, first you have to tell them that this material world is not good enough. When you tell them that, then they say, okay, material world is not good enough. Now please tell me, now I agree with that. Material world is not good enough. What is good enough? Then you can introduce Bhagawan. So some people need to go through that transition. People who are little more suffering in life, they already are convinced this material world is useless. But those who are really very happy, very, luxury, because of their past good deeds they are enjoying right now, for them it is a little bit hard to understand that this material world ultimately is problematic. Okay. Then Srila Prabhupada will go into paragraph number 3, that Srila Prabhupada mentions that out of his omnipotence, Shukram, he can enter into a deity also and make himself accessible to us. We cannot access Bhagwan directly, but we can access Bhagwan through the deity form. And here Srila Prabhupada writes that, so like that Archa Vigraha is also his expansion, just like the various incarnations are his expansions. And Archa Vigraha, that Bhagwan in that form, in his spiritual form, descends into the deity upon the request of the acharyas. So when the acharyas invite Bhagwan to reside in the deity, that's why we request very senior devotees to welcome the deities also. That practice is done till today. And the point is that then the deity becomes alive. Bhagwan comes and resides in the deity. Bhagwan is everywhere. He even was in the pillar. Now it is said that Bhagwan is everywhere, but we don't worship pillar. We don't worship this iWatch or iPhone. Bhagwan is in everything. But worship is reserved for deity, where acharyas have invited. But we should understand that everything, Bhagwan resides everywhere. Okay. And the Lord accepts such service out of his omnipotence. Okay. So, And then the point is, materialistically minded people cannot understand all this. So they cannot understand God's omnipotence, how he is present in the deity, etc. And for such people, Bhagawan does not reveal himself. Bhagwan is more than happy to keep himself concealed. He is not desperate to go and reveal his true nature, his spiritual nature, that he does not have a body, a material body. He has a spiritual body, has angas, all these things. He's not desperate to go and reveal it to everybody. So in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanum ashritam. So they are called mudhas, who don't know my param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. That they don't know my spiritual nature. They think I am just, when I come as Krishna, Krishna is not Bhagavan, he's just a human. Manusha, they think he's a human. And they are called mudha. Avajananti, they don't know who I am. Mam, they don't know me, and they are called mudhas. And 7.24 and 7.25 also he says that I don't reveal myself to such people. Okay, so the Lord does not reveal to to others fully. Let's see what are some of the important points. Yeah. So another very important point is that the Lord is awarding enjoyment or suffering. I only wrote enjoyment here. Enjoyment and suffering to living entities in proportion to their qualifications or their karma, their guna and karma, basically. Okay. Now, there are 2 points, or a very important point that Srila Prabhupada is making here is that these good qualifications to receive those rewards, and this is true for the rewards and for sinful reactions as well, that they are themselves not sufficient to enable one to receive rewards. Mercy or bestowal of the Lord is required. And he gives this example of a judge. To become a judge, one has to earn the qualifications. That's on you. But then the title of the judge has to be bestowed by the government. If you have read all the law books, you cannot sit on a chair in your house and say, now I'm the judge. Send me all the cases. If I say this person must go to jail, the police is not going to listen to you. The police is going to listen to a real judge, which has been appointed by the government. So in the same way, this is the same exact point of the 2 fingers short that we discuss in the Damodar Katha. That one is our qualification. Our effort must be there, and then Bhagwan must bestow his blessings or his mercy. And that is when we actually get the reward. Whether that reward is something material or whether that reward is bhakti or love of Bhagawan, or Bhagawan becoming your, coming under your control, like he did for Mother Yashoda. So those both things are there. One, you have to earn the qualification, and then you have to receive the bestowal of Bhagawan. So the point here is that Bhagawan is reciprocating based on our desires. Okay, but the important point is we do not know what to desire. Bhagawan is reciprocating. And here, see, the point is, you cannot just say, oh, I desire to become a bhakta. Why is not Bhagawan? Or I want to love Bhagawan. Where is Bhagawan? Why is he not loving me? That is called false desire. Our desires are not spoken from our mouth. Our desires are spoken by our actions. Here you can say, oh, I want to become bhakta of Bhagawan. And then outside you are going and, doing all kind of materialistic things. Talking about politics and Twitter and Elon Musk and World Cup and this and that. And nowhere is Bhagawan in that whole conversation. So you can say that there is a desire, but our desire is highly fragmented. Our desires are first of all material, and they are very split. In 2.41, what is 2.41? Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana bahu shakha hi anantasya buddhayo vyavasayinam. So for the abuddha, for one who is unintelligent, His intelligence is bahushakha, multiple. I want this, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. A pure devotee has only one desire, and that is expressed not only in his words, but in his actions everywhere. Body, minds, and words. Body means actions, mind, words. Everything is, I want Bhagawan. Then Bhagawan will give himself. So that is what Srila Prabhupada is saying in para 6. If one wants to come closer to Bhagawan genuinely, not lip service, then he helps such a person to come to him. You take one step toward Bhagawan, Bhagawan will take 10 steps toward you. On the contrary, if you want to go into sinful life, Bhagawan will allow. He will allow, but he will not push you. If you want to come to Bhagawan, he will pull. See, Bhagawan is also interested in us. But if we want to go away from him, not only he does not push us, he guides us as Paramatma. Don't do this. It is not beneficial for you, or it is not beneficial for you in the long run. Short term, it may be fine. Just like a father, if child wants to smoke. I have not smoked, but I can imagine that smoking must be a pleasurable activity. How else can somebody smoke 20, 30, 40 cigarettes in a day? Must be a pleasurable thing that you want to do so many times, right? But father will say, don't do. Right now, it may seem pleasurable, but later on, it will be harmful. So, Bhagavan not only doesn't push us towards sinful activity, he warns us also. He's doing everything to make us come closer to him, but he gives us that element of free will. Okay, so we must know one very important, very nice, sweet story. We must know what to ask. Very nice story is there of this. I've heard it's anecdotal. I don't know if it's in Valmiki Ramayana or not. But this Kevat, this boatman. So when Lord Ram met Guha, and then later on he was leaving and wanted to go in a boat to cross the river. So first there is the story that, the boatman wanted to wash the feet of the Lord. There's a nice story about that. Moving forward, when he reached the other end, the Lord reached the other bank of the river. The Lord said, I want to give you some remuneration. Mother Sita was taking out a ring she had and wanted to give to the boatman. The boatman said, I'm sorry, I cannot accept any remuneration, because two persons of the same profession don't pay each other. A barber doesn't pay another barber for cutting his hair. Barber cannot cut his own hair, right? Or anybody cannot. Sometimes we try, but then we mess up. So he says, two people of the same profession don't pay each other. So Bhagavan said, how are we of the same profession? So he said, today I helped you to cross the river. You are the boatman who can help us to cross the Bhavasagar, the material world. So when my time comes, please help me. So that is what you should ask. He could have easily taken the ring. He could have easily asked for more benedictions from Bhagavan. But we should know what is the right thing to ask. And then we can be happy. Permanently happy and fully happy. The full happiness, not the little happiness. And temporary. Our happiness is little and temporary because we don't know what to desire. Because our mind is completely, as we say, diversified into so many. In this case, diversity is not good. Our focus should not be diverse. Our focus should be one-pointed. Ekeha kurunandana. Okay. So that is the meaning of that one. And Bhagwan is great. Paribhu. Paribhu means he is the greatest. And all other living entities depend on him. Okay. Even for liberation, you have to depend on Lord. Another very sweet point is made. Even all the demons, if you think, who want to kill Bhagavan, correct? So many demons want to kill Bhagavan, right? Ravan, he says, Rane do. When I will kill Ram, then, I will marry Sita. Where do those demons get their power from? They get their power from all the devatas only, who are servants of Bhagawan. So first they get their power from Bhagawan, and then they want to kill Bhagawan. How is it possible? Shaktiman is supposed to be higher than the Shakti, isn't it? Shaktiman, the possessor of the... So when Bhagawan, when the devatas are giving the Shakti to the demons, how can they think, this is demoniac mentality, that somehow with the Shakti that I got from Bhagavan, using that same Shakti, I can kill? It's like you are going to get some weapons from the USA and then attack USA. USA will never give all those weapons which you can attack. They will have all the antidotes from before, isn't it? That is foolish mentality. So that means Bhagavan is the greatest. I'm not saying USA is the greatest, but just an example. Maybe it is the greatest, I don't know. Okay, last paragraph. Lord is self-sufficient. So, which means that he does not need anything from us except our love. That he needs. He doesn't need it, but he wants it. So here, for example, I gave the example of Govardhan Hill, or Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Govardhan Hill. Also, when Bhagwan Krishna was born, just newborn, of course, we have read the story of how Lord Krishna was born. Lord Narayan appeared, and then he converted to a small child, but still, and then he did not need any help from the jailers to open the doors or anything, or all of it just happened. He was able to, so quote unquote, escape from the jail just like that. So he is self-sufficient, completely self-sufficient. Finally, few more things. He is Shuddham and Apapa Vidham. So Shuddha, he is very pure, and Apapa Vidham means he is faultless. As materialists, we may try to find fault with him. He steals butter, he tells lies, main nahi makhan khayo, or even more serious kind of lies, like telling Yudhishthir to lie to be able to kill Dronacharya, or so many things, or stealing the gopis' clothes, or dancing with gopis. For materialist people, it may appear like fault. Killing Karna in that way when he was trying to fix his chariot. We have 100% perfect answers for all those points. So he is completely faultless. Okay. And then he is purifying. Oh, that is Apapa Vidham, purifying. Sorry, I mixed the faultless point. So that was before. Apapa Vidham means he purifies. And Srila Prabhupada has given the meaning or the analogy of the sun. The sun purifies everything. So he is like the sun. Faultless is Avranam. He is faultless, without faults. So Srila Prabhupada writes that, if dancing with gopis is a fault, why are the greatest saints who are so strict, sannyasis, they take pleasure in reading those chapters of Bhagavatam where Bhagawan is dancing with the gopis? What business does such a strict sannyasi have to take pleasure in that? That's like, trying to say sannyasi is going to movie theater to watch some, I don't even know who are the latest actors and actresses, Amitabh Bachchan and whatever. That is not acceptable because that is material. But the pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna with the gopis, they take so much enjoyment in that because that is completely purifying. That is faultless. And the saints take enjoyment in that. Okay, so that is the end of the 2 verses. I'll just, if you have any questions, you can share. Or ask. So there is one question, how Lord helps individual, inner voice, self-realization, or external guru, parents. Parents, I cannot say. The parents have to be learned in Shastra, first of all, to be able to advise. Okay, otherwise, parents' advice should be taken for moral things till a young age. After that, one should submit themselves to a guru. That is why at a young age in the Vedic time, the children were sent to Gurukul under the guidance of a bona fide guru, not like today's guru or somebody who may indulge in some kind of all kind of abuses. So there is no Gurukul today. So don't go into any, don't let anybody say Gurukul. Today's Gurukul, the closest thing I have heard that comes to Gurukul is homeschooling, where parents first need to. So that's why in Bhagavad Gita classes and everything that we do, many parents ask, I want to send my child to Bhagavad Gita class. I say that is great, but we would encourage you to come with the child. We do not let children just come. Parent need to also understand the knowledge, and then they can give it to the child, and or the child and parent can be co-travelers. They can all together understand. So parents is little bit, you have parent means a qualified parent, spiritually qualified parent can definitely be guru. Like for Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur was his primary guru. Shiksha Guru, of course, his Diksha Guru was Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, but his mainly he got his instructions, the philosophical, spiritual, bhakti instructions from Bhakti Vinod Thakur, who was his guru, who was his father. So like that, you can have fortunate to have parents like that. But guru, yes. So, and guru says nothing other than Shastra. So there is this beautiful verse in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 16. Let me show you. Very, very important, extremely important verse. Am I still sharing the, yeah, looks like am I sharing the PowerPoint or the Chrome?
PowerPoint.
Huh?
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint, okay. So Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 16, last two verses are very, very important. That says that Yaha Shastra Vidhim Utsrijya Vartate Kamakaratah Na Sasiddhim Avapnoti Na Sukham Na Param Gatim. And last, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Akarya Vyavasthitau Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Iharhasi. So this is two verses are talking about Shastra. That from the Shastra you have to learn what is Karya Akarya Vyavasthitau. So, or here, what to do and what not to do. Karya and Akarya. Shastra tells you the way to spiritual progress. And Guru teaches the Shastra. Like a professor in university, he will not teach what is not, misaligned from textbook. If you have a mismatch between teacher's class and textbook, the student should go ask the teacher, hey, textbook says this, you said something different. Can you please clarify? And ultimately, if he says something, but the textbook has to be the bona fide, this textbook is also written by him only, maybe. He may be the author. So then that kind of textbook doesn't count. Here we are talking about those textbooks which are coming from the supreme author, Bhagawan himself, like Bhagavad Gita, directly coming from Bhagawan and so on. So those textbooks we are talking about, not like maybe the textbook have so many errors these days. So, but still the point being that Guru has to teach what is there. Guru can be, the one to provide clarifications, to dispel our doubts, illusions, etc., and understand what is in the Shastra. So Shastra is the primary way of understanding. So yeah, what was your question? How the Lord helps the individual. So yeah, inner voice and all that, one in beginning stage, one should not depend on it. It could be the voice, yes, it is inner, but it is whether it is voice of the mind, which is contaminated, or the voice of Paramatma, which is pure. You don't know. You may not know. Okay. So you have to be very careful in listening to your inner voice. Once you have made sufficient spiritual progress and you are able to cut out the noise coming from mind, and able to tune yourself to Paramatma, then that inner voice you can definitely listen to. But till then, don't go with, oh, my inner voice said so. It could be highly toxic or highly contaminated because it is coming from our mind. Okay, are there any questions? There is one more question at the top. Is that nothingness same as Brahman? No, nothingness is not the same as Brahman. Brahman is all pervading.
I think with that question, I think you were saying earlier that some yogi, like there's that Shunyavad way to meditate on nothingness, and they realize that's that. So is that meditation the same as meditation on Brahman?
No, so the question that devotee here in the room is asking, is the meditation on nothingness versus the meditation on Brahman the same? So honestly speaking, I am not a deep expert on these topics. I have only read few things in my life, spiritually, Bhagavad Gita, some parts of Bhagavatam, and so on and so on and so on. Few other things. But this meditating on Brahman, nothingness, I really don't know. We can ask somebody who does that and see what they say. It's same or different. But it is sufficient for us to understand that both are useless. The best thing is to do bhakti, and in Bhakti Shastri, the teaching never will tell us to focus on either of them. Okay. So, if you want to get a good engineering degree, you can ask, should I go to Jhumri Talaiya University or this Joburg University? The answer should be none. I may not know what Jhumri Talaiya University or some other university will teach, but I know it is not the best. So I can tell you, go to some, bona fide university, Banaras Hindu University or whichever other place. I can tell bona fide answers, but yeah, it's my limitation. From bhakti standpoint, for those who are following or have an intention to follow, meditating on Brahman is not recommended. Meditating on Shunyavad or Shunya is also not recommended. What is the difference between the two? There is a difference, that much I can say, but what that is, I don't know. Yes, go ahead.
So for the verse 8, you had made a point about like Asnaviram being I think I missed what the why is that emphasized twice? Like one is unembodied and one is without.
Yeah, the Akayam is the larger one. So the question is, why is it emphasized twice? Akayam and Asnaviram. So Akayam means Bhagawan does not have the literal meaning is Akayam, without body. Kaya means body. Okay. So Akaya means without body. But to clarify that without body does not mean without any kind of body. Bhagawan is bodiless. The Asnaviram is saying he does not have a body, but the kind of body that has veins, he does not have. He has a Satchidananda Vigraha, full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Or Sat means eternal or of spiritual nature. That's the real meaning, is spiritual nature, which is eternal. It is Akshara. Spiritual is Akshara, infallible or spiritual or eternal. Sat. So Satchidananda Vigraha is the you can say the substance. It's a wrong word, but the element or whatever, the quarks or the protons of which the body is made, the elements. So that is what, but not the one which has veins. That was the emphasis. So Īśopaniṣad, even though the Upanishads are highly commented on by the impersonalists, what Srila Prabhupada and our previous Vaishnavacharyas, not Srila Prabhupada, just didn't pick Īśopaniṣad right randomly out of the stack of Upanishads. First of all, it is at the top of the stack. Okay. Plus all or major Vaishnava Acharyas have written commentaries on Īśopaniṣad, including Madhvacharya, the prime Acharya of our Sampradaya. We are part of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. And so many Gaudiya Acharyas have written commentaries. Shri Baladev Vidya Bhushan has written commentary on Īśopaniṣad. Bhakti Vinod Thakur has written commentary on Īśopaniṣad. And Srila Prabhupada has written commentary, and there may be others as well. So Īśopaniṣad is a highly personal literature. Personal means which in a coded way is bringing out the personal nature of Bhagawan. Yes.
So each of those adjectives sort of help us understand, like you said, the personal nature of Bhagawan, right? So without a body, maybe like just to my lay understanding would be that it's just a lot of energy, maybe, right? But then they clarify that without veins, which sort of puts it in context. What about that philosopher? I mean, how does that help us?
Philosopher is very intelligent, the most intelligent. So the question is, what about the intelligent? Philosopher is Srila Prabhupada has chosen. I can go into the deeper understanding, but that Manishi means supremely intelligent. In Bhagavad Gita 2.51, I think that word is used, and there is a different. Let's check. Bhagavad, am I sharing? Share screen. There, Srila Prabhupada translates Manishim as the saints, the great saints who are intelligent, obviously, and ultimately intelligence doesn't mean knowing algebraic topology and quantum mechanics. Intelligence means knowing Bhagawan. So, even a so-called illiterate person can be fully intelligent because he knows Bhagawan, but we'll see 2.51, I think, is or somewhere around that. Let's see. Huh? 51 hai? Manishim. Where is it? Manishinaha. Yeah. So, karmajam buddhi yukta hi phalam tyaktva manishinaha. So they reject tyaktva, they give up the phala. Who gives up these phalas of their karma? The saintly people or the intelligent people. Here Srila Prabhupada translates as great sages or devotees, but the point is, thus engaging in devotional service of the Lord, great sages of the or devotees free themselves from the results of work in the material world. But that is the intelligent people are ye phal lenge hum. If I accept this phal, I have to then eat it, enjoy it, or suffer, depending on whether it's a sweet phal or a bitter phal. I have to, if I accept it, I have to eat it. They say, no, thank you, I don't want phala. That is called akarma, right? Not accepting the phala of your activities. That is called nishkama karma yoga. And we are in second chapter, as you can imagine, and that is the philosophy that is being described here. So the intelligent people are, those who understand the inner workings of how nature works, how prakriti, material nature works. So Bhagavan is the supreme most intelligent. The example is like how demons think they can cheat Bhagavan, like Narsingadev. When Hiranyakashipu thought, I can, I have everything covered, then Bhagavan cheated him. He even says, this is cheating. I thought, you should have come as a man or you should have come as a lion. Then I would have been able to defeat you. Why did you come as both? Now my benediction is lost. So, when you offend a devotee, then Bhagavan, he doesn't play by the rules. So he is a, supremely intelligent. He knows how to, So that's my understanding of, we can never trick Bhagavan. Anything else? Anything online? Okay. Any announcements? Yeah, next Saturday is Gita Jayanti. You are all, many of you are doing Bhakti Shastri. So you are all obviously ardent lovers and fans, so to say, of Bhagavad Gita. Please come to the temple, and wherever you are, go to your local temple. In Portland Temple, we are organizing the chanting of Bhagavad Gita, both in Sanskrit shlokas and English. Please participate. I think spreadsheet has been sent out. Put your name, meditate on Bhagavad Gita on Gita Jayanti. in some way or the other. And we are doing book distribution of Bhagavad Gita distribution on Saturday here locally outside Indian stores. Please participate in that as well. And what else? Yeah, we are starting a new batch of Bhagavad Gita for beginners. This will be a small size batch. Please forward the information to your friends or whoever you would like to join. Or if you want to join and do it again, most welcome. I do these batches because I get to read it again and again. So everybody should, Bhagavad Gita, Mahatma Gandhi also says that he read it again and again and again. Okay, anything else? What did you say, Prabhuji? Was there a question?
Yeah, in the chat there is a request to announce.
That's okay.
Shoka.
Yeah, we anyway send that information to everyone. Yeah, so we do weekly programs, japa sessions online on Thursdays. In person also, you are welcome to come to our home. Friday we do Bhagavad Gita class. Saturday this Śrī Īśopaniṣad. Yeah, and Sunday we will be starting another Bhagavad Gita batch.
We can request everybody to join for Thursday japa.
It's okay, Prabhuji. I don't want to pressure. Information is available. Everybody has free will. Yad ichhasi takha kuru. Anything else? Oh, it's already 7:40. I thought it was just. Okay, thank you so much. So nothing else. Then thank you very much for joining. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.